Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where a mother gets murdered by a 17-year-old boy. Am I the butthole for calling the cops on a teenager who tracked down my house and was demanding that I let him in? A few months ago, me and my family went out to watch a movie and then have dinner together. That included my sister and my nephew. Two of my nephew's friends tagged along. They were friendly and nothing out of the ordinary. 2 weeks later, one of my nephew's friends, John, showed up at my doorstep and asked if he could come in. I got weirded out and got a bad vibe and asked him politely to leave. For context, I live alone with my 11-year-old daughter, and this was basically a total stranger dropping by our house unannounced. I looked at the camera and he was holding flowers and other stuff. What? So I figured this was just a dumb kid with a crush who thought that he could woo an adult, but I asked him twice to please just leave, but he wouldn't. He said that he just had to see me and that he needed to tell me how much he loves me. This included a gross comment about me being a single mom. Man, I'm dying to know how old this kid is. I told him I was calling the cops, and that's when he bolted. Cops came, took my statement, and just circled around to make sure that he wasn't still nearby. I specified that, yeah, he was just a kid, but I barely knew him, and he tracked down my house and wouldn't leave until I threatened him. He didn't commit a crime, but the cops still dropped by his parents' house to give him a warning about not leaving private property when told to. I never asked the cops to do that. I just wanted to make sure that he was gone. The fact that the cops visited him was on them. His mom called me, and at first, she apologized on behalf of her son if he made me feel unsafe, but then told me that I went way over the line by involving the cops and how teenage boys having crushes is nothing out of the ordinary, and how this could ruin his life, and I should have remembered that he's just a kid. To top it all off, my sister also told me that I went over the top and how he's one of her son's good friends, and that I should have just called her when he wouldn't leave and she would have sorted it out. I went with my gut feeling and I don't regret it. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your priority was keeping your child safe. I'm giving the kid 2.5 out of 5 buttholes for stalking and not accepting that no means no. I'm also giving his mom 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. She needs to stop blaming you for her bad parenting. Also, down in the comments, we have this story from Desperate to Not Dream. I went on a date with a guy whose mom was murdered when he was 9. She was a hairdresser, and a 17-year-old boy asked her out after she cut his hair. She declined. He broke into her house at night and stabbed her to death with her child in the house. I'm not trying to scare you, OP, but that's an example you can give them to show that you're not overreacting. Am I the butthole for telling my parent friend that she needs to cook and that's why her daughter isn't eating? My daughter's had a best friend since kindergarten. They're currently in 7th grade. This year, my daughter's friend, Sarah, has gotten quite thin, and her mom has come to me saying that she isn't eating. My daughter's backed this up and said that Sarah picks at her food at school. I thought that it was an eating disorder at the time, and I told my friend to take her to the doctors. My friend needed to leave for a work trip this week and asked me to watch over her. No big deal, she'll stay over for the week. On the first night, I made meatloaf and she ate it. She didn't get sick. The rest of the week, anything I made, she would eat, no issue. She even came back for seconds most meals. At the end of the week, Sarah asked me why my food doesn't make her sick. Apparently, she only eats TV dinners at home, which made her feel like garbage. The school food also sometimes makes her sick, so she's cautious about it. My guess is that she has an allergen to preservatives in food. She needs to get that checked out. I dropped Sarah off, pulled my friend aside, and told her everything. I told her that she really needs to cook and take her to get her allergy checked out. My friend was not happy that I said this, and basically called me a jerk for overstepping. Am I the butthole? Should I apologize? What? You're the butthole because you solved this little girl's medical mystery? OP, your friend needs a reality check. What she's doing, in my opinion, is child abuse, straight up. You have to feed growing kids. You just have to. And if you don't, then you don't deserve to have your kid. Period. End of story. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your parent friend 3 out of 5 buttholes. And in my opinion, if she doesn't act on this and actually start cooking meals, then you should 100% report her to CPS. I'm giving your parent friend 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not telling my parents that the event they were missing was my wedding? So I'm a 27-year-old woman, and I have a younger brother, Mike, who's 21. Mike is the definition of a man-child and a mama's boy. Always complaining, always expecting others to bow to him. Just overall a butthole. Ever since he was born, my parents fussed over him with everything. He's not special needs, and he didn't have a traumatic birth or anything like that. He was just born. And my parents completely discarded me, my mom especially. She went from a loving mother to one of those boy moms that people make fun of on the internet. My father still showed me love and support, but he's always been too much of a coward to stand up to my mother and let me win at least once. Mike knows that our mom prefers him, and he loves to shove it in my face. Because of this and his behavior, we've always been at odds. He's spoiled, a brat, and an awful human. I can't remember how many times I ended up in trouble for things that I did better than him or for things that he framed me with. His only talent is football. He won a scholarship to a nice college out of state. My parents didn't spend a dime on my education because apparently my fund had been used to cover expenses after a fire, just for me to discover years later that this money was actually given to Mike to buy a car and a house. At public university, I met Lucas. He was the first person that I was really drawn to there. Now, Lucas and I are together, well known in our fields, and we have very good salaries. Lucas proposed to me a year ago. We're very private people, so we didn't post it on social media or anything. And when I told my parents, they dismissed it with a, "That's nice." Lucas and I decided that we wanted to have a nice but simple ceremony and a reception with our friends and relatives. Lucas convinced me to invite my parents and my brother, but they never responded to the invite. And whenever I went to visit and started talking about my wedding, my mom would always speak over me about my brother's accomplishments and his wild adventures. At one point, I got fed up with it and interrupted my mom to tell her that there was an event that I was planning to organize that had an unmovable date. She told me that they couldn't attend because my brother was playing the last game of the season that very same day, and he wanted them to be there. Of course, the favoritism didn't surprise me. They'd missed my ballets, shows, and both my high school and university graduation just to go to things about him. At this point, I wanted to be petty. I told both my parents that it wouldn't be a problem to miss this event, purposefully omitting the fact that this event was my wedding, and I didn't push the issue further. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. I got married. It was perfect. My extended family, Lucas's family, and our friends were all there. We had a blast. My grandpa was happy to give me away, and it was just perfect. My relatives asked me multiple times why my parents weren't there with us. I was honest and simply said they had my brother's football game to attend, and they couldn't come. They gave me a few looks, and my grandpa was visibly angry for a while. But otherwise, nothing strange happened. When Lucas and I got back from our honeymoon, we discovered chaos was welcoming us home. When I turned my phone back on, I got a storm of notifications. Most of them were from my mother and brother. Mike called me all sorts of nasty names and insulted me because apparently one of my paternal aunts posted the photos of my wedding on Facebook and captioned it with a very obvious dig at my parents, especially my mom, for missing the wedding. The post apparently went viral, and they've been publicly shamed for their mistreatment of me. It also turns out that my grandpa personally visited my parents to go on a tirade to shame my father, his son, to the point of tears. And this seemed to be my father's breaking point because he was so distraught for missing his only daughter's wedding and for his father's disapproval that he finally rebelled against my mom and is threatening divorce unless she makes it up to me. I think that's the reason why my mom's been spamming my phone with messages. At first, insulting and threatening, and then downright pitiful, full of begging and pity parties. The latest messages from my father and mother seem extremely saddened and hurt for missing my wedding. Now, my family is divided. There's the majority who's sticking by my side. Then there's my maternal aunts who shame me for hurting my mom's feelings. And finally, my maternal grandparents who are adamant that I should forgive my mom in light of her atonement. My friends are telling me to just ignore all of them. So, Reddit, am I the butthole? I don't even understand how you could be the butthole because you literally did try to invite them. You sent them wedding invitations. So if they can't get the message both in person and in the mail that you're getting married, then that's on them. Honestly, the behavior out of your parents doesn't just seem like they show favoritism towards your brother. They definitely do that, but it also seems like they straight up hate you as well. So OP, you get an easy peasy 0 out of 5 buttholes. The rest of your family gets 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Honestly, I think if your aunts hadn't posted on social media and shamed your parents, then they wouldn't have even cared. Am I the butthole for blaming my wife for our homelessness and yelling, "What the hell did you think was going to happen?" My wife and I are really struggling financially and moved in with my mom to help us get back on our feet. I know that it hasn't been easy on her, but I just can't believe what my wife did. So my stepsister is getting married and she wouldn't invite my mom because her and her siblings hate her. My stepfather refused to attend the wedding without my mom, and it was a whole big thing. I think his kids thought that he was going to cave because he's always been a pushover, but he meant it and he didn't go to the wedding. I'm pretty sure that this hurt my stepdad, but he comes from a pretty toxic patriarchy culture and he isn't going to openly show his emotions. My wife was upset on the day of the wedding because she believes kids should always come before your spouse and that his behavior is disgusting. I don't disagree, but it also isn't our business. My wife took some pictures of my stepdad the day of the wedding to show my stepsister that he wasn't sad enough. He was just hanging out with my mom, and in one of the pictures, he's laughing, but I found this extremely uncomfortable for a few reasons. It's creepy and invasive to spy on people and take their pictures. They aren't even properly dressed in some of these pictures. Like, in one of them, I can very clearly see his dick because he's just wearing his boxers. And no, he doesn't walk around the house like that. In another, my mom appears to be wearing one of my stepdad's shirts with nothing under it, so it's just weird. Also, we're guests in their home. Well, his daughter sent in the pictures and said that she was glad that he had his whore to comfort him. My stepdad realized what my wife had done and blew up. He called us ungrateful leeches, called my wife a B-word, and threw our clothes all over his lawn. I'm furious. Living with them was such a great opportunity to rebuild financially, and she just ruined it. I lost it and shouted last night that this is all her fault, and what the hell did she think was going to happen? She's furious and said that I had no right to speak to her like that, regardless of what she did. OP, why exactly are you married to this woman? She's entitled, selfish, she bites the hand that feeds, and she takes candid photos of people in their underwear and shares them without their knowledge. Then when you call her out, she gets mad at you? Your wife genuinely acts like a vapid, entitled 15-year-old girl who's the classic high school bully. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your wife 3 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for rejecting my friend's request to have an open relationship with my husband? What? I'm a 30-year-old woman, and I've been married to my husband, who's 32, for 5 years. We have 2 beautiful kids, a 5-year-old boy and 6-year-old girl, and they have a very strong relationship and are happy together. Recently, my friend Lisa, who's 29, confided in me that she's developed feelings for my husband. She said that she finds him attractive and admires our relationship, and she asked if we would consider having an open relationship that she could be with him too. I was shocked and told her no, explaining that my husband and I are committed to each other and that we're not interested in an open relationship. Sorry, this story is kind of funny to me. When I read the title, I just automatically assumed that OP and her husband were automatically in an open relationship, and then Lisa would be like, hey, can I get in on this too? But no, she's actually proposing the idea. Okay. Lisa got upset and accused me of being selfish and closed-minded. She argued that modern relationships should be flexible and that I was denying her happiness. Since then, Lisa's been distant and has been spreading rumors in our friend group suggesting that I'm overly possessive and controlling. This has caused a lot of tension, and some of our mutual friends are now taking sides. What? My husband is supportive of my decision, but I feel guilty for the drama that it's caused. So, am I the butthole? And then before we get too far, we have an update. I decided to bring the friend group out for coffee, and I told them all about what Lisa said and the real story. I also showed them the Reddit post. After showing them, there were 2 girls that were still on Lisa's side. So I took some advice from the comments and said, let Lisa screw your husband, then you can be on her side. After that, everyone was on my side, thankfully. Lisa wasn't happy at all, and she started ranting about how it wasn't fair, and she just wanted to experience something new. And it wasn't even that bad of a request. You're making it such a big deal, which I don't understand. Me and the rest of the group have officially cut contact with Lisa. We're just hoping that she doesn't try to reach out. Also, just to clarify, Lisa also asked my husband for an open marriage, but he also rejected her saying, even if I was in an open marriage, what a burn. Okay, even if I was in an open marriage, I would never want to go out with you. I'm thinking of cutting off the ladies that were also on Lisa's side for so long, but I'm not sure if they heard a different story or not. So should I? All right, guys, I have a question for you. Is it possessive or controlling to not want your spouse to go sleep with other people? Is that controlling behavior? I guess technically it is possessive to say, hey, my wife is my wife. You're not allowed to bang her. But, let's not forget, some control is a good thing. I'm controlling over my finances because I don't want random people to have access to my bank information. That's kind of stupid. We're controlling of our home. We don't just let random people come live in our home. So not all controlling is bad. I would say this is even a good controlling. Man, this post is stupid. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Lisa and the people who supported her 3 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.